Most people think money is one of the most solid things in the world. We spend our entire lives chasing it. We wake up early for it. We sacrifice time, energy, and sometimes even our health for it. But if you really think about it, money is strangely abstract because the paper itself is almost worthless. If tomorrow everyone collectively decided that a banknote had no meaning anymore, that paper would instantly become just paper. That realization is uncomfortable because it means modern civilization is built on something invisible. Trust. Not gold, not government, not technology. Trust. A farmer accepts money because he trusts he can later exchange it for fuel. The gas station accepts it because they trust suppliers will accept it too. The entire chain works because billions of strangers participate in the same shared belief system. And historically, humans always tried to anchor that trust to something tangible. Gold, silver, land, things that were difficult to fake and difficult to create. For centuries, gold worked because it imposed a natural limitation. You couldn't print more gold overnight. You had to mine it, transport it, protect it. Scarcity created confidence. But over time, civilizations discovered something tempting. If people trust the symbol, maybe you can slowly detach it from the thing backing it. And that is where the modern story of money truly begins. One of the clearest examples comes from ancient Rome. The Roman denarius originally contained real silver, not symbolic silver, actual silver. People trusted it because the value was physically embedded into the coin itself. But as the empire expanded, problems grew. Wars became expensive. The military became expensive. Politics became expensive. And eventually, Rome faced the same temptation many governments face today: create more money. At first, the changes were subtle. A little less silver, a little more copper. Most people probably didn't notice immediately. The coin looked almost identical, but the trust underneath it was quietly eroding. And that's the important part. Currencies rarely collapse overnight. They decay slowly. Confidence fades before the system visibly breaks. Eventually, prices rise. Savings lose value. People begin hoarding real assets instead of currency. And history repeats itself again, and again, and again. Not only in Rome, in different forms. The same pattern appeared across countless civilizations, sometimes through hyperinflation, sometimes through debt, sometimes through political instability. But the core issue was usually similar. When trust weakens, money weakens. Then came one of the most important financial moments of the modern era. 1971, the United States officially abandoned the gold standard. For the first time in modern history, the global financial system became almost entirely fiat-based. That word sounds technical, but the idea is simple. Fiat money has value because governments declare it has value, not because it is redeemable for gold. And to be fair, fiat systems are not inherently evil. Modern economies became dramatically larger and more flexible partly because fiat systems allow governments and central banks to respond faster during crises. But critics argue there's also a dangerous side effect. If money can theoretically be created without hard physical limits, what prevents overproduction? What protects long-term purchasing power? Because inflation isn't just an economic statistic. Inflation changes human behavior. People stop thinking long-term. Savings feel weaker. Assets become speculative battlegrounds. And for younger generations especially, many are starting to feel like the system itself is drifting further away from stability. That search is where crypto enters the story. When Bitcoin appeared in 2009, many people dismissed it instantly. Internet money sounded ridiculous. And honestly, from the outside, it still sounds strange. You cannot physically hold Bitcoin. It's not backed by gold. Governments didn't create it. So why do people value it? Because Bitcoin introduced something rare: digital scarcity. Before Bitcoin, copying digital things was effortless. You can duplicate a photo, a song, a file. But Bitcoin solved a strange problem. How do you create something digital that cannot be endlessly copied? The answer was blockchain technology, a decentralized ledger maintained not by one authority, but by a distributed network. And whether someone loves or hates crypto, this part genuinely matters technologically. Because, for the first time, humans created a system where ownership itself could be verified globally without relying entirely on centralized institutions. That idea is revolutionary. Bitcoin supporters often argue that trust should not depend entirely on politicians, banks, or institutions. Instead, they believe trust should come from transparent mathematical rules. 21 million Bitcoin. No matter who becomes president, no matter which country enters crisis, no matter which billionaire becomes powerful, the supply remains limited. But critics are not entirely wrong either. Crypto has massive problems: scams, manipulation, extreme volatility. Entire projects appear overnight promising financial revolution, while functioning more like speculative casinos. Some individuals became wealthy from crypto. Others lost everything, which means crypto today exists in a strange psychological space, part technology, part finance, part ideology. At its core, the crypto debate is not really about coins. It's about trust. One side believes institutions, despite flaws, are still necessary because modern civilization itself depends on centralized coordination. Banks process global commerce. Governments stabilize economies during crises. Regulations protect consumers. But the other side asks a different question. What happens when institutions themselves lose credibility? What happens when younger generations can no longer afford homes despite working full-time? What happens when inflation outpaces wages for years? What happens when debt grows faster than economic productivity? At some point, people begin searching for systems that feel harder to manipulate. And crypto emerged directly from that environment. Especially after the 2008 financial crisis, many people began questioning whether the traditional financial system truly served ordinary citizens equally. Bitcoin's original message was deeply connected to that frustration. Not just greed, distrust. Maybe the biggest mistake is assuming the answer must be extreme. Some people act as if crypto will completely replace governments and banks. Others act as if all digital assets are meaningless scams. Reality is probably more nuanced. Likewise, crypto may not completely replace traditional finance, but blockchain technology, decentralized systems, and digital ownership are already influencing the future of finance, identity, and even governance. Perhaps that's the most rational way to view this space, not as a magical utopia, not as pure garbage, but as an unstable transition period. Final words: at the end of the day, this video is not financial advice. It's an invitation to think critically. Maybe crypto becomes digital gold. Maybe it becomes a historical bubble. Or maybe the truth ends up somewhere in between. But one thing is certain: the conversation about money is changing. In the coming videos, I will be diving deep into specific projects, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and more, analyzing their vision, technology, and real potential. If you don't want to miss any of it, subscribe, hit the like button, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we heading toward a financial revolution or the biggest bubble in history? The answer might surprise you. Stay with science. Stay with reality. See you next time.